What's up, gamers? Aaron Shack64 here today. I want to share my build for Captain America in Marvel's Avengers. I am calling this Captain America build the I can do this all day build because literally Cap can do this all day. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's take a look at Cap's skill tree. So I'm going to skip the primary stuff because these are things that you should unlock and you should learn these moves, and we'll reference some of those moves later on. But let's get into the support heroic ability, which for Cap is Rally Cry. So you rally teammates to action, enemies in proximity, and those attacked while Rally Cry is active are marked. Enemies marked by Rally Cry take additional damage from all sources. And you notice that also breaks block on enemies. Alright, so specializations we want to go with here. This one here increases the duration of Rally Cry by 5 seconds. So I like that. That's more time that Rally Cry gets to be used. There's also the option to have taunting and to also grant a defensive buff, but to me those are non-essential at the moment. Of course, these are upgrades that you're going to get over time. So defeated enemies marked have a 25% chance to drop a heroic orb, which for this build, heroic orbs are key. So that means we're going to want that. All strike team members have 15% increased chance to land a critical attack on enemies marked by Rally Cry. That's good. Increase the duration by another 5 seconds. And then for this specialization, you can either do the health pack, which if for you, you're having trouble maintaining your health, maybe that's a perk that you want. Defeated enemies marked by Rally Cry have a 50% chance to drop an intrinsic orb. I'm not worried about the intrinsic meter. I think that fills up pretty quick as Cap, honestly. I'd never fret about it. But this, critical attacks on enemies marked by Rally Cry deal 15% bonus stun damage. Now, stun damage allows us to do what? Well, the stun damage bar allows us to eventually do a takedown when that bar is full. So I want to always deal stun damage with this build. So the next thing, Steamroller. This is really great for clearing out aerial enemies or a crowd of enemies and breaking block on enemies, knocking off shields and stuff like that on enemies, and then being able to rush in and deal damage or hit them while they're down, right? So now it can target up to 6 enemies. You upgrade it here, it targets 8 enemies. Now, I like to have 2 charges of the Steamroller ability. That means I can throw the shield twice. And because I'm getting heroic orbs back as quick as possible using my build, I'm going to always have this and Rally Cry and Brooklyn Brawler. I'm going to have all these things available almost at all times, right? Or very quickly, right? So you could potentially do Tidebreaker if you want to be able to, like, kick the shield again, right? So he throws it, it bounces off, and then he kicks it, and that ping-pongs off some more. That could be good for you. Now, you might also want to increase the stun damage dealt by this, but I like having 2 charges. I like using it twice. But potentially, if you want to go with my idea of I can do this all day, you want to stun a lot of enemies so that you can then rush in and get takedowns. In this next part here, you can have it drop regen packs, you can have it drop heroic orbs for every 2 enemies defeated, or you can have it drop intrinsic orbs. Once again, heroic orbs, the yellow orbs, will fill up our heroic meters for all 3 of these abilities. We're going to want those, right? If we really want to be doing this all day. All right, so now, the ultimate, Brooklyn Brawler. You perform a shield slam that refills intrinsic energy, which means you'll be able to do blocks and all sorts of special abilities, and stops enemies in their tracks. So that stuns them and then allows you to get in there, and like Cap is doing, he's using the X attacks right there. X on Xbox and square on PlayStation, right? So those are light attacks where he's just sort of like automatically throwing his shield, and you're able to do this light attack combo here, right? So all damage and defensive strength is increased, right? And it breaks block. So what's great about this is when I'm overwhelmed by a bunch of enemies, I can trigger this and I can clear the room. I can get tough enemies to where they are takedown ready. So when Brooklyn Brawler is active, takedowns can be performed on critically wounded enemies. That's nice. Light combo finishers have increased impact. That's nice too. While it's active, ranged attack damage and impact are increased by 25%. I'm not using ranged attacks while I am in Brooklyn Brawler. I like to do this. I like to go here and perform takedowns on critically wounded enemies. I like to have lots of stunned enemies and be able to do takedown after takedown after takedown. So it instantly restores 25% of willpower, which is great. Dealing damage restores willpower. That's great too. So if I'm in a pinch, my health is low, Brooklyn Brawler can be my savior. So 5 seconds added to the base duration. This is the skill I need the most. If I want to do this all day, then takedowns extend the duration of Brooklyn Brawler by 3 seconds. I will have some footage later on in the video that will demonstrate that I can stack this ridiculously so to where it's 45, 50 seconds, extending and extending because I'm getting so many takedowns because I'm fighting so many enemies and I'm extending the duration of Brooklyn Brawler, right? So yeah, you could have blocking could stop any attack, which, you know, is really only good if you're fighting like bosses or, you know, high-powered enemy attacks are really catching you off guard. 25% more energy to Brooklyn Brawler when collecting heroic orbs. This could be good. This is up to you, whether you want the 3-second extended duration or if you think that you're going to be getting so many heroic orbs from either Steamroller or from general takedowns. You're going to be picking up orbs from takedowns. That's up to you. So this is a place where you could pick either one of these, but I recommend the 3 seconds because I can get crazy with that. So let's go to the mastery tree. All right, this is where things are going to get really crazy. So right here, I've obviously picked stun damage of all attacks by 15% because I think that is the most useful thing, right? I want stun damage because I want to be doing takedowns all the time, right? That's how I like to play. I'm not worried about ranged attacks or light and heavy combo finisher damage. Those do plenty of damage as is. I don't do a lot of air juggling, so this doesn't strike me as useful. Crit attack damage by 15% with the light and heavy combo finishers is great. Heroic charge speed by 1% when dealing damage with light or heavy attacks. That's so minimal that I'm not interested. This next part, this is up to you. I like, on every character, on every build, heroic takedown mastery. So when I do a takedown, it drops a heroic orb, and potentially, most of the time, it's dropping a healing orb as well. But if you need more healing, if you feel like you're constantly getting down by enemies and you're just having a tough time staying alive, maybe you want takedown recovery. But yeah, like I don't see the need for regen packs and stuff like that to drop. I want heroic orbs because I want my heroic abilities coming back as quick as possible. So I like this one. This is the combo finisher kickback. And that just allows me to kick the shield as it comes back. Boom. And then it pings pongs off the enemy once again. So yeah, you might like the ability to pin enemies. That's personal preference. Speed and damage of all shield throws. That's pretty nice too. You really can't go wrong with any of these. This is all personal preference, honestly. On this next range attack, you have press R2 while catching the shield to boost damage by 15% and critical chance by 35%. That's great if you're a high skill player and you think you can time that and do the perfect catch. That's great. Increases damage by 15% against each target that's hit with a ranged power attack. So that means you're charging up the throw, you're holding R2. That's cool. That's nice to have. But once again, I'm going with the stun damage, right? I want ranged power attacks, whether I'm throwing the shield, holding it up and charging it and targeting maybe like 5 enemies and then throwing the shield. boy, that gets them takedown ready. All right, so regen packs, heroic orb with headshots. That's quite nice. For some reason, I have it on intrinsic. I'm gonna actually put it on heroic because I am Mr. Heroic. Okay, I want heroic orbs all the time, right? And even if my heroics are full, I want there to be heroic orbs all over the battlefield so that I myself can pick those up later after I do my heroics, all right? So let's look at our next thing here, all right? Maximum amount of intrinsic shield block by 15%. Base regen speed of shield block is good. Or recovers 40% shield block energy when performing takedowns. So I'm doing takedowns all the time. It's takedown city. And with this, I'm recovering the shield block. I think that's perfect. There's nothing better for this build. Increases the max intrinsic shield block by 15%. Increases base regen speed by 15%. So I'm thinking in tandem with this, I want to regen shield block by doing takedowns and just doing general things. Regen speed, I want that to be quick. I'm going to be doing lots of attacks and stuff, which will increase the intrinsic regen speed. So this is all feeding together. You can see this build, every perk is connecting. These are all interconnected perks. So increases the max amount of intrinsic shield block energy. That's nice, sure. Increases the amount of intrinsic shield block energy expended when blocking an attack by 25. Or grants a burst of 20 points of intrinsic shield block when performing a parry. I'm parrying a lot, and I'm learning to parry even more. So doing these perfect blocks are going to reward me, right? Reduces cost of intrinsic attacks. Not really worried about that by 15%. This is cool. Captain's Defense Parry Boost. Increases the timing window to parry incoming attacks by 20% when the Captain's Defense buff is active. Now, the buff is triggered by the Commander's Call ability. So right now, I'm going to actually show you some of the Commander's Call ability, what that looks like in combat. And then we'll move on to the next perk. All right, so defense attack efficiency 2 reduces the cost of intrinsic attacks by 15%. I like that. Defeating enemies refreshes Captain's Charge buff. I mean, that's nice too. Lasts 3 more seconds. Buff is triggered by Commander's Parry, which that's different from Commander's Call. Commander's Parry is when you do... oh, where is it? Yeah, there it is. So that's when you press square instead of triangle while blocking. So Commander's Parry is absolutely different, right? All right, let's look at the last thing. Captain's Charge buff is active. Melee and ranged attacks will break enemy block. Buff is triggered by Commander's Parry. So that's nice. Captain's Defense buff is active. Blocking attacks drains no intrinsic energy. This could be good too if you really feel like you're in a pinch and you need to block. Or you can increase the duration of the taunt using Commander's Call. But I've been liking this, being able to break enemy blocks and stuff, because that allows me to go in, do combos, build up stun damage, and then do takedowns. So that's like the secret to my build. But I want to go over additional moves and additional essentials that I think come with using this build and surviving as Cap. If you're finding this video informative, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. So, one of the first moves we want to look at is the air juggle. So, pressing Y 3 times allows us to knock the enemy in the air and hit them with some combos in midair. This is really useful, and of course here in the tutorial you can see me doing it repeatedly. It keeps the enemy knocked down, and we can keep attacking them. Another basic skill to follow as Cap is the shield block. So here, you're going to see that we press R2 at the right time, and then we can press triangle afterwards to do a shield bash. So once again, R2 at the right time, then press square, and I was able to knock the enemy back. Once again, pressing R2 at the right time allows me to counter attack with triangle or square. Don't forget, the Cap's shield is good for deflecting and blocking bullets. See? I was able to send that bullet right back to that guy, and then I can close in while he's stunned and knock him down and get my takedown so I can regenerate health and get a heroic orb. Okay, so one thing I want to mention about the shield toss. We talked about different skills that we equipped. So this one is holding R2 and releasing. And then you press R2 again to kick the shield when you see it glow, right? So like so. Boom. Okay. Now with the standard quick toss, where I'm just aiming and then pressing R2, you do it 3 times. And then after the third vertical toss, you get to kick again. So that's if you went with the skill that I told you to do. So you'll have both of these where you can get additional shield tosses, right? As long as you time that right. So there's the second toss, here's the third vertical, and then that's where you would want to make sure that you are pressing R2 again so you can kick it there. And you can do all this stuff in midair too. So like, let's say for example, I throw it at an enemy, I jump, and then I can catch it and throw it again. Or I can kick in midair, right? Like that, doing a jump kick. So these are essentials that you'll need to know while playing as Cap. So now dealing with shielded enemies as Cap. There's a couple of different things that we can do in this scenario when we are faced with a shielded enemy. So we can dodge by holding circle or B and roll over them, which allows us to then follow up with attacks. Or we can do this, the cartwheel kick and shield bash, and then go from there. Another great move is holding Y or the triangle button to do a shield bash on shielded enemies. So I'll show you here how that's used. So hold Y or triangle when given the opportunity. And you can knock him off his feet and then follow up with combos. So next, L1 or LB does the rally cry attack. So let's see it in use here in the tutorial. So I'm able to deal extra damage and I've briefly stunned enemies. And I'm able to do counter attacks and deal lots of AoE damage. The shield slam, the cartwheel kick, all these things are useful and lead to takedowns, which means I'm littering the area with orbs, which means I'll be ready to do some Brooklyn Brawler after this. Sometimes I like to trigger it immediately after, but in this case, we're beating up a bunch of enemies and trying to get as many heroic orbs out, as well as dispatching as many foes as possible, and using Commander's Call to just double up on the bonuses. So once again, rally cry again, because I've already gotten him back because I've collected so many orbs and dispatched so many enemies. Alright, so let's use Commander's Call, which is right trigger and Y, or right trigger and triangle. He smashes the shield, and then that opened him up for a takedown and marked some other enemies. I've got a defense buff that's temporary, and I'm able to deal some damage on these enemies. And I'm able to use Brooklyn Brawler to build up stun meters and get some takedowns going on these enemies and defeat really tough enemies very quickly. So once that stun meter is full and I did the heavy combo finisher there, I was able to do a takedown and defeat this enemy and get a heroic orb and be ready to do rally cry again. So here's an example of me using Commander's Call in tandem with Rally Cry and Brooklyn Brawler, which you can see is on a 30-second timer, but once I'm able to stun this enemy and open him up for a takedown, I'm adding 3 seconds to Brooklyn Brawler and continuing with the Rally Cry. And I'm able to quickly build the stun meter using these light attacks as square on PlayStation or X on Xbox. And then I was able to throw my shield using the Heroic Assault ability, which built up stun damage and allowed me to do takedowns here, which extends the Brooklyn Brawler timer and allows me to get more takedowns and stay in Brooklyn Brawler mode as long as possible. And I'm able to dispatch all these incredibly difficult foes with relative ease. And with some shield tosses, I'm able to dispatch the remaining foes, and we are done here. If you're finding this video informative, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. So let's talk about being overwhelmed in a combat situation like this. I was able to do a shield bash and recover some ground here and take down some enemies, but I'm still a little overwhelmed with the shield guy and people shooting at me. So I rolled over the shield guy and bought myself some time to do the rally cry. But then I started getting hit a lot, right? So then I used the shield toss to give me some ground here and get another takedown, regain some health, and during takedowns, I like to pan the camera around so I can see what's going on and figure out who I'm gonna assault next. And I will run across the map to get takedowns and restore everything. So now Brooklyn Brawler is ready, and I've got heroic orbs sitting around all over the place. So now it's go time, because I can do this all day. So now I'm building up the stun meter on this guy, which opened him up for a takedown, which I ultimately didn't take. And now I'm able to juggle between these guys, take them out. And so even if I'm taking hits and being overwhelmed, I'm still in control of this situation. Because there's a lot of enemies at this point, and I got a lot of people shooting me in the back, and it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. But Cap is cool and under control throughout this entire situation, is able to defeat these enemies with relative ease. Alright. So when it comes to Cap, gear is an ever-changing thing. You're always going to find new gear with better perks and stuff, but I just want to show you what I'm using now. So the Ring of Nibelung is really cool, because when I activate this cornucopia here, it says press L3 and R3 simultaneously to generate a random bounty of regen packs, heroic orbs, or intrinsic orbs. Any of those, especially heroic orbs, further the build and make me do more damage, right? Increases amount restored by all orbs by 11.8%. So that means every time I'm picking up heroic orbs or health orbs or whatever, I'm getting more from them. It's charging up my abilities and I'm becoming tougher as we go. Now, with these, I typically recommend that you find something that buffs like your heroic ultimate ability, increases the charge rate of any of your heroics. Have something like that equipped. I'm just equipping the best stuff I have right now. But here, I also think you need to have stuff that increases the charge rate of your heroic ultimate, or, you know, your support or your assault, so that you can always be throwing the shield or doing rally cry or always having Brooklyn Brawler charged up, right? Because when you use those, by the time you're done, you want to have enough heroic orbs in the arena that you can use it again if necessary. Here, this is pretty good too. It's got 20 points of shield block energy when successfully parrying. It's got damage reduction with Rally Cry. This shield is really great because it deals cosmic damage, which is great. Range critical attacks, activate a Tachyon Surge. Like, these are all very high percentage stuff, and it's doing really well. Brooklyn Brawler modifier, increased status damage from Brooklyn Brawler. That's great. Heavy combo finishers are great. So this is pretty good gear right now. I can always find something better and rotate in new stuff, but that's just a general overview of what I would recommend for you when it comes to building your gear set. All right, to kind of wrap this up, I'm showing some high-end gameplay here. This is at the highest challenge level in the harm room with the highest amount of enemies, and I'm getting takedown after takedown, and Brooklyn Brawler is already at 40 seconds here because I'm getting so many takedowns, and I'm chaining together. I'm using everything I have against these guys. So Rally Cry is active. And I'm able to handle these high-pressure, powerful enemies with ease because I can do this all day long. And then the flying guys back there, I quickly dispatch them with a good old-fashioned shield toss. And then I can deal with them on the ground. Easy. Hey, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you found this Captain America build useful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more Marvel's Avengers content. Until next time.